Haha. Good evening and welcome to the Smitty Story Hour. I am recording. It'll be just a few minutes. We'll let Glenn get started, but I want to give everyone a chance to log in. If you would please use the chat for any questions you might have this evening. Also, if you would use your name, your class here, and where you're joining us from. I see a few names I recognize. Ron Perlick. Has that motorcycle been put away yet for the winter? Karen Frank, I assume Peter's nearby. Hi, Jim Voorhees, Jim Holler, Homer Reese, Cinnamon. I can't pronounce your last name, but I know you're here. All right, so the Smitty Story Hour gets started in just a moment. This series is recorded. All but one is available on our website. There's one from 2021 that the recording was lost forever. There's no evidence it existed, unfortunately. It was a fun one with Joe Conto. Maybe we'll have him come back on and try and duplicate it. We do one of these a month, just trying to keep our Smitties together from across the US. Quite a bit on the East Coast. Cinnamon, I'm not sure where you're located. Maybe you'll let us know that. All right, and the Smitty Story Hour is brought to you by the Paul Smiths Alumni Association. Again, all the recordings are online, paulsmiths.edu. Go to the alumni page, look for upcoming events, and then there's a link to past events, if that helps. If you have any questions throughout the night, just throw them into the chat. And at some point, we'll have, oh, it says chat's disabled. Well, I'll fix that right away. I'll fix that chat. Give me a minute. Why is it not working? I've had all kinds of difficulties tonight. Everyone.
The Halloween gremlins are starting early.
Ron, will you give it another shot? I think I fixed it. Did I fix it? Maybe. Amy Harridan's here. All right. I wonder if Jay's with her. He's probably on the road, I'm guessing. So is her son, Nathaniel. 3 Smitties, 1 house. Pretty amazing. Dwayne Ecker. Cinnamon in Boonville. I know where Boonville is. I've been there. Something about forestry stuff and woods and whatnot. All right, Glenn, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm not going to wait much longer here. Get started. So on to you, Professor Glenn McClure.
Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you for everyone coming out tonight here on a Thursday night to share some stories about some stuff here at Paul Smith's, which we don't often think of Paul Smith's as a place of the arts and music. Okay, we think of it as a place of the environment, of environmental studies and in culinary work in the past. Okay, but tonight we're going to talk about art and music. My name is Glenn McClure. I teach in the Department of Environment and Society. I have been here for a little over 5 years, and I teach many of the humanities courses here, the courses that take our life here in the natural space and then ask some of those big questions about it, those questions that come from history and literature and philosophy and music and art as well. So it's been wonderful to be part of the Paul Smith's family for the last 5 years. I've certainly known the Adirondacks ever since I was a little boy, because my parents owned a patch of land over on the Oswegatchie when I was little, and we used to come and camp at Cranberry Lake every summer. But for the last 5 years, this has become home for myself and my wife, Paula, who works over in the TRIO office here at Paul Smith's College. Tonight, I wanted to share with you a little bit about some of the things that are happening at the college and between the college and the community, and other new ideas bubbling up around the notion of creating beautiful things, whether those beautiful things are pieces of music, or if they are paintings or sculptures or poems or that sort of thing. It turns out we have a wealth of that here at our college, and so let me just pull up some images here to get started. And okay. All of us up here at Paul Smith's, we live in the middle of a postcard. Okay, we live in the middle of the natural beauty of this landscape up here, and many of us are attracted to this place because of that beauty, and of course our tourist industry here in the North Country is also largely dependent upon those folks that want to break from the city, that want to break from their offices, and they want to come up and breathe some air and see some beautiful trees and paddle through some lakes and hike and enjoy this beautiful space that's up here. But what we often don't know is that here at Paul Smith's College, we actually have folks that not only come to enjoy that beauty in the natural world, but also part of their career, part of their passion is to create those, is to create more beauty in response to that. Right off the bat, okay, I wanted to talk about some faculty members. Two of our faculty members here that are actually teaching courses in music. Okay, we have a handful of courses that way. Here on one side with the harp here is Freb Hunt Bull. Freb is a marvelous harpist, and this picture is where Freb came out and played for our open mic night. But she is also giving piano lessons to students here on campus, and combined with Helen DeMung on the other side, okay, which I'll be talking a little bit more about Helen. Helen has been teaching voice lessons here on campus, and in the springtime we had a bona fide music recital with our music students, with our piano students under the direction of Freb, and our vocal students under the direction of Helen. And for Helen, since we have a handful of students that are studying voice, okay, and learning to expand their singing, one of the things that she does is she brings them and includes them in the Northern Lights Choir. This is a choir of 60 to 70 members that rehearses in Saranac Lake, and we work out the rides for Paul Smith's students to come and join that choir. Okay, here at Paul Smith's, as you probably know, we do not have a music department. We do not have an art department or drama or dance department in the way that other colleges have that more traditional kind of academic infrastructure for the arts. So all of us that are encouraging and growing the arts at Paul Smith's, we do it outside of that traditional academic structure. And so for Helen, okay, her genius here is not only encouraging young voices for them to try new stuff and to expand the capacity of what they can sing, but also she brings them into this marvelous community choir and gives them a top experience of singing with community members. And some of you may know, here in the North Country, our community musicians are no slouches up here. In the Northern Lights Choir, oh geez, we have we have retired opera singers from New York City that have come up to live here in the North Country, and they lend their amazing voices, okay, to this choir, along with amateur singers and first time singers. Also, it's interesting to know for Helen's choir, it's an intergenerational choir. Okay, this is something that a lot of colleges don't offer this experience for college students, to sing in a choir with folks older than them and younger than them. And Helen's choir crosses two generations on any day. Okay, and occasionally we've stretched into three. So she provides a really important musical experience here on campus for our students. Another thing that Helen has worked on, and I've been her colleague in this, is the research and the development of a folk opera here in the Adirondacks that tells the story of a pre-Civil War voting rights initiative. It included John Brown, Frederick Douglass was in the mix, okay, but also a whole bunch of Adirondackers that don't make it in the big history books, okay, folks like Garrett Smith, that looked at voter suppression laws for Black men in the Free State of New York in 1850. Okay, that there were still suppression laws that required Black men to actually own 40 acres of property or the monetary equivalent of that before they could vote. White men didn't have that restriction, and of course women of any color at that point could not vote. But here was a courageous initiative by Adirondackers and others to expand the right to vote. So Garrett Smith gave away 120,000 acres of Adirondack farmland to 3,000 Black men and their families, and Black farms were created here during that pre-Civil War period. Helen and I and a whole bunch of other folks found that to be such a compelling story that we wanted to explore that story and tell it in the biggest way we can. And in the music world, the biggest way to tell a story is with opera. But of course, this is not opera that sounds like Mozart, okay, or Haydn or those kinds of folks. This is opera that sounds like the Adirondacks. And of course, this opera has excited lots of other folks, brought in some people here in the historic photograph. This is actually the most successful of these farmers that came to the Adirondacks, a guy named Lyman Epps. And then in the top corner here, we see Professor Kurt Steger, who's gotten excited about this whole thing being part of the project. He actually did a whole bunch of additional historical research. And here he is pointing at the grave of another one of these successful farmers, a guy named John Thomas, okay, in the cemetery over in Vermontville. The project also attracted lots of other support, with a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. Okay, we worked with Mountain Lake PBS to do a whole bunch of filming of the process of developing this opera. So we have the picture of the TV camera there in the corner. I wanted to move out of this window and just play just a short snippet of one of the songs that has come from that project. This is with the Northern Lights Choir and with a whole bunch of students, including a student singing the lead on this. This is an old pop song from the 1850s and 60s that we rewrote with the stories of this voting rights initiative that John Brown called Timbuktu. Here's just a a little bit of one of the pieces from that opera.
Now Jared Smith has come to town to fight those who would hold you down. Sign that deed, we'll get their goat, and plant that seed. Come on and vote. So dream, brother, dream, dream, brother, dream. Dream all night till all day like the sun and Timbuktu, everything you want is waiting for you. Timbuktu, everything you want is waiting for you. Everything you want is waiting for you.
So, so this gets a little bit of a sense of things here from the musical side of things. We'll be talking a little bit more about music in a second. But one of the things that became really clear to me when I arrived at Paul Smith's a little over 5 years ago, and was tapped to go out there and find new ways to build more arts and music opportunities on campus, was that a whole bunch of our faculty, even though maybe Paul Smith hires them for other reasons, are marvelous artists and musicians. We're going to talk more about Kurt Steger in a minute, but let's look here at, let's see here if I can get my next slide going here. Oh, my computer has decided to not move off of this slide here. Let's see if I can.
We're not seeing any slide right now, just you, Glenn.
Oh, really? Okay, then. Okay, well, my computer is acting up here a bit.
Seems to be a running theme tonight.
Okay, well, I'm gonna hope that the computer gods kind of come in and catch up with me in a second here, and I can show you some more slides, but let me keep talking about some of the other things that are happening here on campus. We find that many of our science teachers, okay, and our staff members, and all sorts of other folks bring lots of music, bring lots of the arts to the campus. Leanne Sporn, okay, is of course widely known for her expertise in studying Adirondack ticks. Okay, there's little things that go out from the college that have all sorts of good suggestions about how to take care of those when you're out there hiking and that sort of thing. She's also a masterful visual artist, and her images of birds and insects are just breathtaking. Our relatively new faculty member, Saikat Chakrabarti, who's teaching chemistry for us. He's not only an incredible photographer that actually gets exhibitions in other parts of the country for his photography, but he's also a marvelous poet as well. And we get to experience some of his poetry at the open mic nights here on campus. He's a regular, sharing his poetry while students and faculty members are singing or doing other sorts of things like that. So there's a lot of hidden gems here, hidden artistic gems on campus at Paul Smith's. So some of the other things we've been doing for a long while is they include the open mic night I just mentioned. Kurt Steger started the open mic night some 30 years ago or so, and it still goes strong. There have been nights this semester on campus where we have had over 10% of the student population showing up for open mic night. And so what we find that that drives that attendance, drives that interest is all of you know, if you've ever been to college, okay, or even taught at a college, of the normal ways that a college community.
Not sure. It seems like we're having some technical difficulties. We seem to have lost Glenn. Not sure what happened here. Bear with us for just a moment, folks. We'll see if we can get him back on.
Okay, folks, I've been asked to entertain the troops, that'd be you, so I'll get out my harmonica, but I don't play harmonica. So we'll do this. I'll get you up to speed on a project I'm working on with Glenn.
I really thought you were grabbing your harmonica.
No, I don't play harmonica, but there's Heather Tuttle's calling me. So
No, she just stopped calling you.
well, we're working to get Glenn back. I think almost everybody on this call is familiar with St. Gabriel's Church. It's a nice little white church directly across the street from the entrance of campus. It served as a Catholic church, part of the Diocese of Ogdensburg from 1895 up until the mid 1990s. And then the diocese closed it down, like they are with a lot of churches. And it sat empty for almost 20 years. And there was coming a point where they were going to bulldoze it, because it was no longer being used, and it's on Paul Smith's property, but the building was theirs. So local businessman and foundation chair of the Cloud Splitter Foundation, Lee Keat, fell in love with the building because the woodwork in there is absolutely incredible from 1890. It's just the most amazing Adirondack woodwork in that church, and he couldn't stand the thought of somebody running a wrecking ball through that beautiful building. So he took him to court and he lost. It was, I think it was Franklin County Court, and he lost that the church had the right to bulldoze it. Well, being tenacious as he is, he took it to the New York State Supreme Court, retried it, and this time he won. So now we have full clear title of the former St. Gabriel's Church. And I don't know if any of you recall going in there, it is absolutely stunning. So Cloud Splitter Foundation has donated $250,000 to get the church operational. So then a lot of you know Deb Neighbor, fellow Smitty, Deb Neighbor and her class, graduate students surveyed well over 150 local residents, summer residents, temporary residents, and they decide, asking them, what do you think would be a good use for that property? And the vast majority of the responses came back that wouldn't it be great if that was some kind of a coffee shop or a arts and music venue? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have performances there in the church, in the former church? Wouldn't it be nice to have students who run the AP Smith Bakery on campus bring their baked goods and their coffee across the road? I can tell you that is the busiest intersection in the Adirondacks, because my office overlooks that intersection, and it's so noisy I can't even open my window. And you all know the hot dog guy makes a pretty good chunk of business right there in the parking lot in front of the church. There's not a lot of food between Malone and Saranac Lake. Brighton Mini Mart has some, but so we kind of envision this property becoming a art venue, putting a local artist, putting their art up on display, artists in residence, a music venue, a place where summer residents, year-round residents can go and enjoy music. It's just far enough off campus that you almost feel like you're being off campus when you're not. You're about 150 yards, if that, off campus. But so we have spearheaded a campaign. Right now there's absolutely no utilities to that building. There's no water, there's no septic, there never was. There's no electricity, there's no heat. I mean, it's basically a shell with inside incredibly beautiful woodwork. So there we go. Heather's pulling up some photos. So
Best I could do in a moment.
There you go. We'll take that. No, we'll take that. So phase one of this project, we've already engaged an engineering firm out of Plattsburgh. And the absolute first thing it needs is that roof has to be replaced, because you all know if the roof goes bad, water gets into your rafters, the next thing you know, the whole building collapses. So we actually have a roofing contractor working on campus as we speak. And this project is hopefully they're going to wrap up these couple buildings on campus and they're going to re-roof the church. Now, they can't guarantee what they're going to find when they pull those shingles off and pull that sublayer off. But we think it's a pretty decent shape. The other thing we need to do is the basement is only a half basement, and that half is a crawl space. So we actually are literally going to raise the church and put a full basement underneath it. We then can install our utilities. We'll have water coming in. We'll have, again, water and septic, electrical work. We'll have a nice usable basement going in there. Our goal is to not radically change the inside of the church without having to, because we really don't want to touch that beautiful woodwork that's inside. It does need a bathroom. We got some kind of creative ideas of where to put a bathroom in there. There will be a ramp, so it'll be much more, it'll be accessible for anybody who has mobility issues, be able to get in there. We really don't know what's in the walls. I got a feeling there wasn't a whole lot of insulation in there, but basically our budget to get the roof on, get the new basement poured, bring in water, septic, electricity, heating. We're running around 400,000-ish. So our phase one is to raise 500,000. We got half of it already from the Cloud Splitter Foundation. So basically we're going to work with everybody to say, hey, if you want to pitch into this project, we think we can raise the other half of it, hopefully by next summer. And then we can get the phase one completed. That'll be awesome. We'll have a nice, safe structure that will be secure and modern. Now, phase two it's going to need some, really, I do LED lighting. Need some new carpeting on the floor, but it's mostly cosmetic work. I mean, structurally, it'll be fixed up nice. Now you can hardly see it from the road because the trees have grown up so thick around there, and there's beautiful, beautiful big pine. So I've already talked to the forestry department if we can get some of the smaller trees cleared out so we can have a much better access and view of it from the road. Some signage. There's going to be lots of opportunities here for donors to have naming opportunities. We'd like to build a room to put up a tent outside. We'd love to have Smitties who would want to get married, use as a non-denominational, like a little chapel would be fun. You got the Red Dot Trail right there, actually starts right at that parking lot. So we can see folks who want to come and use the Red Dot Trail, have access to a bathroom, something to eat. I learned from other faculty that in the old days used to be a very active, oh, there's that woodwork. There was an active farmer's market on campus years ago. How cool would it be to have a farmer's market again out in the parking lot of the church property, because it's such a prime piece of real estate. Heather, that is absolutely what it looks like today, folks. Unfortunately, all the stained glass has been removed. We think we know where it is, but technically the stained glass is the property of the diocese. So we may or may not be able to get that back. But even without the stained glass, if you just look at that woodwork, I mean, we're talking 1890. This is before cordless screw guns from DeWalt and all the fancy tools we have today. This was all handmade. Heather, do you have any other photos by chance of the interior?
I don't. I actually pulled these offline while you were talking. So
yeah,
I
well,
literally
thank you.
scanned the website. This came from, I guess I should divulge. It came from the Press Republican's newspaper, an article about the lawsuit.
Yeah,
that we eventually won, but
I've got the key. So anytime any of you want to come up and see it, you let me know. And then we're going to probably set up some tours this summer at Reunion. The more people we get involved. So Glenn, I was killing time while you were getting your computer back up and running. And I know you were going to talk about this project because Glenn plays a pivotal role because he's the guy who knows how to run all the programming inside the church. So Glenn, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with my infomercial. Glenn, you're on mute. Heather, are you able to unmute Glenn as the host?
Hold on here.
There you go. Okay, thank you. I'll hush up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do have another photo for you here. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, here's a beautiful image of that space. One of the things that has become clear as we've been looking at this space is that it's not only a beautiful space in and of itself, but it's right there on the corner, and it's across the street from the college, and it is a 5-minute hike, okay, from the whole bunch of beautiful things around Osgood Pond, just a mile or mile and a half away from the Vic. And one of the ways we've been starting to think about the space is not just as an individual freestanding space where you hold concerts, but actually to think about this whole block as a cultural neighborhood that combines the advantages of the college over here, the advantages of the Vic just down the road, the advantages of the natural spaces around Osgood, and now, of course, this sort of keystone part of this, of looking at this as kind of a zone, as a neighborhood, this gorgeous space here for music and for lectures. And so as we move ahead, Stephen may have already said that we're working now to stabilize the building, and then once we start to get into next year, we're going to be looking at ways to move ahead with programming in the space and all of that. So we're really super excited about the church as sort of the new face of the arts at Paul Smith College, as well as a really flexible space that could also host other kinds of services there too, other kinds of events as the community needs it. So so is there anything else that you wanted to add to that, Stephen?
No, it's hard to follow you, Glenn. So hopefully, I'd like to at some point get something on a web page that can kind of show some progress and how we're doing with it. But
Yep.
Again, I'll invite any of the Smitties. If you're passing through town, let me know. We'd love to meet and show you what we have going on there. And I think this is a universally beloved project for the community, as well as our campus community and even our part-time summer residents are looking for venues. Glenn, can you tell folks what we did with the Orchestra of Northern New York this summer? I think that was a pretty good indicator of the interest on our campus.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that briefly earlier, but let me, can you see that slide here now? Or no, I have to go back and share again. I'm sorry. Okay, I got out of the share mode. I'm back again. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, this summer, okay, for the first time, we had the Orchestra of Northern New York play on the Great Lawn here at Paul Smith's, and you can see here in the left-hand picture here what it was just a magnificent, gorgeous night of concertizing, looking out into the lawn. We had upwards of 500 people there that night, and for the first time doing that here at Paul Smith's College, it was a swimming success, and really, and as we've been talking to the orchestra, they are interested in working with us not only in large summer concerts like this with the full ensemble, but we're chatting with them right now about maybe having some smaller concerts with chamber groups, like string quartets or smaller groups on campus that would fit nicely in the church, okay, as well as other places. Perhaps even offering some additional lessons on campus by some of their orchestra members. All sorts of interesting ideas being tossed around, because Paul Smith's having an orchestra as part of its portfolio allows us to do a whole bunch of new things on campus that we've never been able to do before. So I'm super excited about working with those folks. When I was talking earlier, I feared that I went on and I talked about a whole bunch of things, and I think that's when the computer kicked out and Stephen, you kicked in. So let me just back up and say a couple more things with some.
Yeah, we didn't see hardly any of these, Glenn. I think
yeah. Oh,
right,
okay.
Right there. Start with slide 6 or yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yes, some of our faculty members here that are hired by Paul Smith to teach in the sciences or to teach other things are also just astonishing artists. And I'm only going to mention a couple of them here. Leanne Sporn, who is of course widely known in the area as the expert on Adirondack ticks. She's the person that keeps us safe from all that. She's also this unbelievable nature artist, and we see here one of her works of art, and in the center photograph here, some of her other ones. Please go and check out the Northwind Gallery on the bend of the road here in downtown Saranac Lake, and you'll see a bunch of Leanne's work. But it's astonishing to have such a high-level scientist working for us who, when she's not doing high-level science, she's doing doing quite high level art work. Saikat Chakrabarti, who's teaching chemistry for us, not only an astonishing photographer, this is one of his images, but also a poet. And Saikat has very graciously shared so much of his poetry with us at Open Mic Night. It's this beautiful way for college professors and students to spend a time with each other, sharing poetry and songs rather than in the normal ways that we relate to each other in the classroom or the lab. Kurt Steger, of course, is a staple, of our college as our climate scientist, but also he founded Open Mic Night 30 years ago, founded the SAM Fest, the Science, Art, and Music Festival in April. And I've taken over both of those things these days, but his legacy, not only as a climate scientist but also as a musician, is long and deep here at Paul Smith's. In terms of some of my work as a composer, I've been doing a lot of science art collaborations, working with volcanologists in Hawaii. Spent some time with the European Space Agency with their Rosetta mission, the operations center in Darmstadt, Germany, writing music around data from that project. And of course, right before I came to Paul Smith's, I was in Antarctica working with a team there. This very silly picture here of me putting my ear to the ice it's actually quite an astonishing experience to do that, to listen to all of the activity that happens under the sea ice. It is a busy place down there, whereas above the ice it's quite barren. But you can hear a rich and diverse world under the sea ice. We of course have had lots of really fun stuff bubble up out of our community. Here one of our students brought his family band up, and we had some square dancing over at the Forest Cabin. Both kind of formal music and informal. I mentioned at the beginning there that we had a vocal and piano recital here. But of course, our students are very versatile, and here Chelsea singing at the recital on one side, and then getting out her guitar and singing at Open Mic Night on the informal side of music making. For 30 years, yes, Open Mic Night has been going. And actually this semester there have been times when we have had actually over 10% of the college population show up for Open Mic Night. It's a testament to the way that this kind of activity is very important to our students and to our faculty. Here's Kurt and I playing with a couple of students. So again, here's this thing where, in the classroom, we have these certain kinds of relationships between teachers and students, and in most colleges you never get to see the sides of each other outside of that classroom. Here at Paul Smith's, with things like Open Mic Night, we have this beautiful opportunity for us to learn about each other and to, in this case, play music together as equals. It's a wonderful thing we have here. Some of our students creating visual arts. Here on the one side, this beautiful chair made out of saplings by one of the students in my nature and art class. On the other side, this very, very provocative artwork, of a sea turtle made out of those straws, which of course are the things that are single-use plastics endanger so much of marine wildlife. And so here, this very, very profound sculpture, making a sea turtle out of the very things that endanger them. Clearly, one of the best natural artists from our student body we have had was Mallory, who graduated 2 years ago. This only one of many just stunning paintings that Mallory did. We've been having workshops in Caribbean music here. Musician Ted Canning coming up from the opposite side of the state and doing workshops for our students and staff and faculty, bringing a whole new sound to the North Country. Okay, stretching everyone's imagination, and of course you see here everyone showing up for the workshops. No musical resume needed to be flashed. Everyone was welcome, and everyone sounds good within the first couple of minutes. So it's a really joyous kind of weekend that Ted has done for us a couple times now. Just a couple of weeks ago, we dedicated the new Haudenosaunee flag flying in front of the administration building, and had some folks from Akwesasne come down to dedicate that flag with prayers and also with music and singing, and it was a utterly profound musical moment, having them singing there as part of the dedication of that flag. We have a whole bunch of students and faculty very interested in developing new kinds of relationships with our Akwesasne brothers and sisters. That might include some musical things, some art things, might include some joint environmental work. Those ideas are all in their infancy right now, but very, very exciting. We mentioned the orchestra here. The Sam Fest at the Vic. Oh yes, and we have a date for next year here. So please put April 15th on your calendar here to come out to the Vic for the Science, Art, and Music Festival. Students, faculty members, and community members coming in, sharing this beautiful connection between the sciences and the arts. And Scott Van Lair does a terrific job hosting us over there.
I don't want to steal your thunder about Sam Fest, but it's also the same day as Sugar Bush Breakfast. So come for breakfast, stay for the Science, Art, and Music. Okay, sorry.
Heather, there's no thunder or no pancakes to steal here. Okay, we look at that way so folks can eat their pancakes and then come over and see us. Okay, so there's no conflict at all. It's a day of programming. So yeah, absolutely. So do we have any thoughts or questions there, Heather, from the?
I did have a question come up, but then it disappeared. So I don't know what happened to it, but I think the basic gist of it was just wanting to reconfirm that the Little White Church does in fact belong to Paul Smith College. So I know that's the case, but Steve, you can speak to it better than I can.
It is ours, free and clear. Compliments of the New York State Supreme Court. 100% of the property and the building and all the decisions, and it's all in our hands now, folks. So let's pull together and get this place fixed up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any questions from our audience or any other things? Maybe Steve, is there something else you think we should be touching on?
I just got a comment. I mean, I just think we're so blessed to have Glenn McClure on our faculty. What he brings to this college, from the first day I met him 3 years ago, I thought, here's a remarkable guy. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. And Glenn and I are working on a couple of projects on campus, and he's one of the hardest working faculty members I know. And he's, again, he just brings in such a fresh perspective into our campus, particularly with the arts and the music. So Glenn, it's a pleasure working with you.
Right back at you here. Okay, yeah. Okay, here's a little something.
We have a couple of questions came through. One was, can an alum play at open mic night? I believe the answer to that is yes, but
No, Heather, the answer to that is yes with 3 exclamation points after it.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay,
Jim Holler would be great to play. I'm sure he could bring lots of guitars that he made himself.
Oh my
So,
God, yeah.
yeah.
We get together every other Thursday night in the St. Regis Lounge at 8 o'clock. Okay, so bring those beautiful guitars over, sign up at 8 o'clock and you got a slot. So
You know, it happens to be on a Thursday night, Jim. Perhaps I could meet you for dinner someplace. We'll find a place, I'm sure. A Little Green Farmhouse, maybe.
Shamrock. Shamrock.
I don't know what you're talking about. Is a graveyard still being used for new residents?
I think you're thinking about the church up the road, the stone
That's the
church.
Stone Church. That would be St. John of the Wilderness, correct? Is that the right name?
Correct. Yeah. There's
And
no,
yes, I believe they do still have some family plots that are accepting new residents.
yeah,
Sorry.
there's no,
I don't
there's
know
no
any
graveyard
right way to
around.
say that. I
on
believe
St.
it's still
Gabe's.
active. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got them all. Got it. All right, good. Well, Glenn, this was great. I had no idea how many people came for the orchestra this summer. I must have missed it somewhere along the way. It probably happened somewhere in July, August, and yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
that was pretty cool. Lots of people there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting to see momentum building in lots of different corners of the campus and lots of different corners of the community that are seeing Paul Smith's, not only in the ways that it has been seen and should still be seen, okay, as a great environmental college, a place of great food, of great hospitality, okay, but we're starting to spread our wings here. We're starting to get a little swag here right now, okay, with some good music and some energy that's building in that direction. So I really look forward to any new conversations folks want to have out there about this, because we're building it from the ground up.
Okay. Looks like another one just came in. Can we be sure to promote any concerts like you had to the alumni? I'll see what I can do about that, Mike Worth.
Yeah, I think we've proven there's a need out there and there's an interest and a desire. You look at the crowd that was here for that orchestra, you look at even the student turnout for these open mic nights, and there's a strong interest out there supporting the arts. And Scott Van Leer's had regular monthly concerts at the Vic that are very well attended. So I think we need to play that role at Paul Smith's of being that community resource for arts and culture. So
absolutely. Anyone who isn't already receiving the Vic newsletter, I would reach out to the folks at the Vic and get on that newsletter, because they're constantly promoting and bringing in different artist shows, concerts, all kinds of activities going on out there. And aside from what we do on campus proper, our campus north, it's only a mile away from our entry, I think, maybe a mile and a half.
A mile and a half, yeah.
Yeah, they do so much out there, so much, and it would be a great place for people to get involved and take part in the different activities. All right. I'm going to do another shameless plug for that Little White Church. Steve, can you tell folks how they can help out?
yeah, you could help out by sending me an email. Contact Heather or myself. I mean, obvious, we're looking for monetary donations so we can hire contractors. Anybody who wants to get involved beyond that support, come on up. I mean, we'll figure out a job. I know Glenn's got a big vision for the place. We're gonna need help on the outside too. So yeah, reach out and let us know.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Glenn, for being here tonight, taking the time to meet with us and share arts at Paul Smith College with us. Thank you to everyone for joining us. If you have any questions about tonight's presentation, either for me, or Steve or Glenn, you're welcome to reach out to the alumni office. I'll help you get in touch with the right person. And this will be recorded, or has been recorded, I should say, and will be available on our website in a couple of days. As you all know, I'm not very tech savvy, so I have to rely on a whole bunch of people to help me get this online. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks again, Glenn. And
Okay, thank you. Yep. Bye-bye.
we'll see you again soon.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Okay.